What's up, people? Welcome to another edition of the New Breed Podcast, the world's best new metal podcast from two guys who are really there. I'm one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how is it going?
Great. Loving this weather.
Yeah, no, it's too hot. It's too hot, dude.
Love it.
Put me in fucking Chicago where it's like 60 degrees. No. All right, so let's hop in. So this week, who do we have? This week we have a non-new metal guest. We have the lead singer of the band Bayway. We have Jayway. Jay, thank you so much for joining.
Appreciate you guys having me, man. Thank you.
And I just got to start off by saying your last two EPs are some of the most ignorant shit I've heard in ages. And like Tim and I talk about this all the time. Like tough guy music is one of those types of music that's deceptively hard, right? Because it's real easy to sound cheesy. And all those bands that were trying to do it in the early 2000s, for every 100 demons, you had 15 clones. And dude, your fucking EP when it's what was it? So you were built like this because you're just a bitch, dude. I was literally giggling. If Tim was sitting next to me, I would have picked up this fucking speaker and just smashed him in the face with it. Brilliant, dude. It's brilliant.
I appreciate that, and you're so fucking right about the early 2000s. That's when I came into a lot of this shit, and for every great one, there was definitely some cheesy shit out there. For, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to add what Jay said, we were talking before we recorded. I actually found your other band first, and remind me what they're called again. I have it in my notes. I just don't know where.
Is it Baptized in Pain?
Yes. Okay. So I came across that and I put it on. I was like, yo, this is so fucking sick. And then when I found out it was all just you that did all of it, I'm like, I appreciate it even more because I love people that can do that kind of stuff. But that shit is so fucking hard, dude. And then I found the Bayway stuff and I'm like, dude, this is so fucking ignorant. I love it. Like,
Tim is notoriously curmudgeonly when it comes to his taste on hardcore. And he texted me and he sent me a link to the EP and he said, yo, this is the best hardcore you'll hear this year. And I'm like, huh. That's bold statement coming from Mr. Anderson here. And then I listened to it and I went, no, he's fucking spot on. It's the best shit I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Like that was really the goal, you know? Like it was like I felt like I just wanted to hear shit like when I was a kid, you know what I mean? Like shit that just like brings it out of you, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, we just set out, we were just like, you know what, like we're going to try to make the most. That was literally it. Like when you guys say ignorant, I love that because if you were there in the conversation with me and Chris, the guitar player, it was like, let's make the most ignorant record, like no holds barred on the ignorance. Like when you say, I don't know, man, that's a little like we've gone past how ignorant you should go. No. Let's take a walk past that a little bit further. And let's see just how far we can take this shit, you know?
Yeah,
it never took itself too seriously.
Yeah, you want it so ignorant people are eye rolling at it. That's how ignorant I want it.
Right. I want it to be like Jesus fucking Christ. Like what the fuck is wrong with these people?
As a guy who's old, right? If it kicks in and I want to just hit the person next to me and I'm a guy who's too old and too fat to dance, if I want to turn and just slug the guy next to me, that's how I know you're right in the sweet spot. You're right in the sweet spot.
I am so glad it had that effect on you.
I'm just looking around for somebody to punch. So, Jay, you're from Jersey, right?
I am from Jersey.
Where in Jersey?
Elizabeth.
Oh, okay. I'm from Saddlebrook, up in Bergen County.
Okay. Yeah, you're not that far from me.
No, not at all. Not at all. Now Tim is like, yo, these fucking Jersey guys. I mean, I kind of figured with the name Bayway, right? Figured you were coming from, I was thinking Rahway, Elizabeth, Jersey City, somewhere in that area.
Half of the guys are from Linden and the other half are Elizabeth. So it's like the Bayway refinery is kind of like where those two towns sort of meet. So it like made a lot of sense. When I was first born, I was actually born in Elizabeth and then moved into Bayway, which is like a section of Elizabeth. So like it just had more and more meaning, and it just kind of like it was like a fucking onion. You know what I mean? It just like it kept getting more and more layers to it. And it's like all these guys are from Linden. It's this Linden Elizabeth connection. Bayway itself is just like known as like pretty ignorant. Like if you drive by it, it's a pretty ignorant thing to see, like the refinery itself, you know? And so it was just like, it just worked, you know? It was almost like a joke at the beginning, like, yo, let's just fucking call it Bayway. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it. And it was fuck it. Like, why wouldn't that work? You know, let's just try that. And that was basically it. Like, it didn't take itself too seriously. Like, we did the demo, and I was like, I can't really rap on the songs, can I? And then I was like, well, I guess I could. You know, and like,
yeah,
I sent the demo back to him, and like, it had the rap parts and like some of the stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take some of this stuff out, and they're like, absolutely not. We're taking none of that. Like, it needs to do it more. I'm like, I can't really stay Bayway motherfucker like the whole time, can I? They're like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You should.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. Go on.
The music's hard enough where you can do it, because like Jay was saying before, there's a lot of clone bands that are just horrible, and when they do it, you're like, oh. But like, you know, when the shit's legit, yeah, dude, fucking motherfuck away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Your lizard brain knows, right? Your lizard brain knows. We grew up in the MySpace era, right? Where there was so much shit where it was kind of derivative, and there were some good bands that have kind, you know, they've kind of fallen by the side and gotten forgotten. But when I saw the name and I saw you from Jersey, I said, okay, this is definitely either going to be E-Town Concrete or shit I want to hit my grandmother with a steel chair with. And I'm glad you went with the shit I want to hit my grandmother with the steel chair with, because that shit is wild. So you guys are playing out now, right, Jay?
Yeah, we are. We actually, this Saturday is our tape release. I don't know if I'm supposed to announce it. When's this podcast coming out?
What are we
probably
out
like
to?
a month.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I can announce it. We're doing we did a live tape. We played with Furia 5 down in Asbury Park. We had the set recorded. So we have a live tape coming out. It's called Asbury Nights. By the time this is out, it'll be out. So we're doing a release for that, and we're doing a release for our first EP, or our second EP rather, which was the Newport tape. So we're kind of just like we're on our second pressing of the Newport tape. We have the Asbury Nights live record that's coming out, and then so we're just supporting that. So we're playing Saturday. That's our CD release up in Bayonne. And then towards the end of the month, we're going to be playing with Bulldoze. Shout out to Bulldoze. Down in Philly. With
you guys are playing the church, right? The Bulldoze, the
church, which is crazy on its own. It's like a freight train reunion, and Shadow Drums playing. It's like, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, you see it and you're just like, they asked us if we wanted to play. I was like, what do you, it's like a real fucking question. Like, yeah.
Right. Bring a mouth guard. Anybody listening,
of course I want to fucking play the church. Yeah.
Yo, all right. So are you got, like, when you guys playing live, please tell me that snare is going to be as poppy as it is on the recording.
You know what? If it's not, then, you know, we're going to have discussions with my drummer. You know what I mean? He needs to, I tell him, I'm like, oh man, just tighten it before we play. Like right before, you know what I mean? Before the first hit, let's crank that fucking bad boy up. But yeah, we got that. It's basically, you know, it's funny because I asked Teddy from E-Town. They played in Atlantic City. And I said to him, I pulled him aside after they were done. I was like, bro, look, you got to tell me, how the fuck did you get that Time to Shine snare? And he's like, I don't know, bro. I'm pretty sure I had the head on upside down. I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I was just tightening it up as much as I fucking could. So I'm not lying to you, bro, when I tell you I bought a $50 snare from Guitar Center and put the fucking heads on upside down, tried as hard as I could to do everything wrong. And that is what you're hearing on the record. And it just added to the level of ignorance, you know? It's just like, how ignorant can it get? It can get that ignorant. Like we just forget everything that we know to be right about tuning a drum, and we're just going to put it on there. It's going to sound like a fucking dodgeball hitting a fucking kid in the side of the head.
I love that. That's great. It's a great analogy. So Jay, you were saying you played Asbury. Was it Pony or House of Independence?
It was House of Independence.
Yo, how awesome is that venue?
Honestly, it was my first time ever playing there. Like I think my second time being in the venue itself. The first time was for Fury 5. The first time they came back. But yeah, to play it with Fury, you know, was just, I mean, it was a dream come true for us. You know, like we grew up fucking with these guys so hard, and they kind of like, they've taken us under their wing and like really like shown us the ropes and like helped us so much. It's just like, you know, to have them be like, yo, do you guys want to open up the show? Like, God, come on, stop. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, the little kid in me was like, this is really happening. Like, you thought that you wanted to do this. Like, are you really going to go do it now? Like, you got to go fucking do it. You know, like, it's time to go and go hard. So it was great. That venue's unreal. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, I'm amazed that I just remember Asbury Park being such a shithole back in the Stone Pony days.
Our whole lives.
Yeah, WSOU, the birthday bash down there. I mean, you felt like you were going to get mugged if you walked too far from the venue, and
100.
now you drive down there and it looks like a typical Jersey Shore point with all these families and shit. And I was like,
It's
man.
crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, like we went. The first time I had ever been back, like down there, was for Fury's video shoot. Like it was the first time I was like around, walking around, and I was like, holy fucking shit! Like, damn, this is not what I remember at all. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Not even slightly. So it was kind of crazy. It's. I mean, it's great to to have like live music being available and in Asbury the way that it is. I'm just like I'm pumped to see it. You know what I mean? I'm pumped to
Yeah.
and shit. New Jersey went for so long with like nowhere to fucking go to see a show, nowhere to play. So it's like just fucking great to see it coming back in any way.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a good point too, Jay. There was nothing for a long time. It was the Pony, or you were opening for somebody else in like an arena show or one of the big sheds.
Right. Like really all you had was like Starland, like back when I was a kid, we were running around in VFW halls. There was a place called the Cove that was local to us. Birch Hill was always great. Club Chrome.
Oh, I forgot about the Birch Hill, the Chrome. You ever end up at the Cricket Club?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Saw Biohazard there was a hell of a fucking experience. Let's just say that.
Tim, the place is probably as big as the space behind your bar. The Cricket Club. Yeah. That was Livingston, right, Jay? Was that Livingston?
No, that was actually in Irvington.
Irvington. I knew I had it close. Okay, yeah.
That was Irving. There was a spot up near Livingston. I think it was in Randolph called like Obsessions or something.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Dying fetus up there when I was a kid. Like, just like the places that you go to and the places that you travel as a kid, just trying to see every show.
Right. Now, dude, I'm kind of amazed. We're friends with Adam from Orthodox. So there's been a lot of shows coming through Frenchtown, New Jersey, which is way west, up in the Delaware Water Gap, like all the way up 295. It's like, who the hell is routing this? Like, but I guess the shows are kind of good because I know there's a bunch of bands that have come through there. A lot of deathcore, so maybe it's like a hotbed of deathcore activity. Who knows? But just what a random place to end up in. But whatever.
I think it's fucking awesome though. It's like wherever you can find a venue, throw a show. Like they've been doing shows at a VFW hall in Kenilworth, and like I never expected that this would work in this small neighborhood, but it is. Like when they did like a bunch of bands. They did fucking Mind Force. They did, Never Ending Game, Bulldoze, like all these bands, Pain of Truth. I mean, it was insane. It was like a fucking hardcore fest, around the corner from my house. I'm like, this is insane.
That's awesome.
Like more of this, please. It's nice to see it.
You said you're from Elizabeth, right?
Yeah.
That's where E-Town is. That E-Town's hometown as well?
100%. 100%.
Okay. I know when you said that, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute, who the fuck else is from there? Okay.
Yeah, I came up, it's funny because it's like my sister was friendly with this guy, Henry, who was one of the original bass players for E-Town. And that's kind of how they came onto my radar. And it's actually, it's great that we're on this podcast because I traded my sister. Shout out my sister, Lisa, because she's a fucking G. She really is. She had Downset, and she had E-Town's Time to Shine. And I traded her Limp Bizkit, $3 bill, y'all, and Dr. Dre's Chronic 2001 for her original copy of Time to Shine and a copy of Downset's first record. And that's like when I like really got like super, super into hardcore. So shout out to my sister Lisa for doing the damn thing. And also for taking nu metal records so that I could get my hands on some hardcore relics. I appreciate her for
that. We're gonna get into the nu metal in a little bit. Once you said that, because I remember I messaged you and I was like, yeah, don't let the nu metal thing, like make you go, who the fuck are these guys? Because like, we're into the hardcore and stuff. And then you're like, no, I love nu metal. I'm like, oh, even better. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the time I came up in, man. Like I really started fucking with music, like heavily fucking with music in like harder music in 98, and then started like going to shows in 98, 99, and like I was involved in the family value stuff. That was like the first stuff that I had gone to, like first live shit that I was experiencing on like a big scale that wasn't in like a BMW or something, So like seeing bands like that, it just like fucking blew my mind. They're so fucking heavy. But like before that, I was listening to like DMX, Puff Daddy, and Biggie, like exclusively. So to be able to cross over and like hear Korn and Limp Bizkit and stuff like that was like they were taking all these hip hop elements, and it's really what drew me to the heavier stuff. And then of course you get into E-Town, which is doing it too, Downset, bands like that were doing it too. It was just like was so interesting to me. And then I just like, it fucking spiraled from there. I got super into the crossover stuff. I found Biohazard, found bands like that. And then, you start finding Deftones, and you start finding, you start going back in time and checking out all that 94 shit that came out and how hard it was. And I really love that whole time period, man. Like from 94 till probably 2003 for me is like just really key. A lot of really great shit came out in that time frame. A lot of really, really hard, iconic records came out.
Dude, it's funny you say that, because I feel the same exact way. Even in hip hop, I think from 94 to 2002ish, 2003ish, every one of my favorite records has come out in that time frame.
It fucking peaked, man. I mean, listen, you had Nas, like real Nas, like nasty Nas. You know what I mean? Like you had DOS Effects. Like I remember hearing DOS Effects in a car seat. Like me and my mom in 91 used to fucking bump Chub Rock. We used to bump like DOS Effects, and then you also had the California shit, like Snoop Dogg and Dre came out. Like the 90s were just different. Yes. It was just different. Shit just hit differently back then,
It was an explosion. It was an explosion. Every genre had a chance to get into the pie just kept getting bigger. It wasn't like you had genres fighting.
It was kind of like blending together. Like nobody was afraid. Like there was no limit to what you could do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there was no one was afraid at that time. Like, oh man, well, what if I mix this and I mix? It was like, no, we should be mixing funk and hip hop and metal. You know what I mean? Like I really like jazz, but I also fuck with Slayer, and I really like Snoop Dogg. Let's do all of that together. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what the 90s was. It was like, okay, cool. Like that's fucking cool as shit to me. I don't know.
I think that's what's missing from music nowadays, and I think that's why I don't really care for too much hardcore, because in the 90s, like shit, you remember the Kill Time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, when you used to go to shows at Kill Time, you would be fucking scared for your life sometimes. It would be that devastatingly violent. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you watch videos from back in that time period too, and you know what's crazy to me is the sheer mass of fucking people that went, because experiences meant something back then.
Exactly.
Like now you can watch whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? You don't have to really go. You could just see the show live streamed or whatever. And a lot of people do that, and I get it, but, and I'm not knocking it, it is what it is. But like when I was a kid, like you didn't have that opportunity. Like I had to fucking I'm sure you guys are familiar. Like, well, I had to sit on fucking Kazaa for like 6 hours to be able to see play. You know what I'm saying? In Baltimore.
Yep.
And it was like a fucking 35-second video clip of some asshole's handy camera that, you know what I mean? He was the one guy who figured out how to upload it to the internet. Meanwhile, my 56K modem having ass was trying desperately, you know what I mean? To just get a glimpse of some shit that I just couldn't get my hands on yet,
Yep, just waiting, watching the progress bar go, but like, please, it was terrible.
How many bands do you think you found waiting for the new Slipknot record to come out because they labeled their shit as Slipknot? And I downloaded it, and I'm like, well, this ain't no fucking Slipknot, but that's how I found Chimera. You know what I mean? Like that's how I found that band. Like I was trying to download Iowa or some shit, and then all of a sudden I'm like listening to this band. I'm like, this ain't Slipknot, but I fuck with it real heavily. And then next thing you know, they were on that what was that Matt Pinfield show?
Farm Club.
They were on Farm Club, and I'm like, yo, Roadrunner is putting out some serious bands. This is crazy. That record meant a lot to me. That fucking Chimera, I think it's past that existence.
Yeah,
that record is insane. Absolutely.
That's so fucking good.
So good. So good. I mean, just the sheer anger got me through so many problems in my life. You know?
I think that record holds up so well even today.
It does. It does.
Does. It does. Another one to me that was like that time period, same time period for me was Fear Factory's Obsolete.
Oh,
Yep. Yep.
Man, the way that they really just like, a lot of people talk shit on that record. They're like, oh, the stuff before that was this, more that. I feel like they really crossed over for Obsolete, and they really like dove into more of the hip hop stuff, and it was just like stupidly heavy, just very clean, very precise, very heavy. Still kept with their, their like sort of, industrial sound that they had, but it like definitely dove more into the hip hop shit. And I just loved that aspect of it.
One of the rare examples of a band getting more polished and yet not losing any of the edge that came with it. Like you're right, Jay. They leaned into that sound, but they made it heavier and yet more accessible, which is not something you could say often about a lot of bands that try and do that. They usually go one way or the other.
Fuck no, you can't say that about many bands, I think that's why that record's like so untouchable for me. I just love it. And at that time, it was like, for me, I was listening to probably a ton of Chimera, ton of Fear Factory, and then, I was listening to Hatebreed, and I was listening to every, like, I can't state it now, like every Dying Fetus record I could get my hands on, I was listening to at the time. I had like just discovered like death metal, like gurgly vocal death metal, and I was like, oh shit, I found everything that I'm into, and like, I mean, all through that period, I was just kind of like sort of obsessed with the hip hop sound, which is why like E-Town's such a huge band for me. I mean, clearly coming from Elizabeth, it's just like the hometown heroes, but also One for One was a big band for me. NJ Bloodline, like I speak about those three bands probably more than I talk about anything else, but they had so many great elements, and it just like, I just so identified with it because it's from Union County. It's just so like baked in my whole existence. So it's like, I just identify with it so much because it's like the little nods that they have to shit that like, it's like if like if you're aware of these situations or these places or these people or whatever, then like it just means so much more to you,
Absolutely, it's what we grew up on, right? It's always going to have a special place. And I'm sorry, I am not the biggest hip hop fan, but I'll tell you, today's hip hop has nothing on that stuff that came out of the late 90s, the early aughts. Nothing. I mean, who was the last great hip hop auteur? Oh, Kendrick Lamar, maybe?
Yeah,
maybe.
I feel like lyrically, Kendrick Lamar is pretty fantastic. I like what he's been able to do. I mean, I think more of it now. It's not really, to me. It's there are hip hop artists out there, but they're few and far between. A lot of it is obviously become rap. It's more about the beat, which I understand. I fuck with it. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I turn it on and I rock my way to work with the most ignorant thing I can get my hands on, and I don't even give a shit what they're saying. Like 97% of the time, because for me it's just like, I call it ego music. It's like, if you got a big meeting or something and you need to like get yourself pumped up, I want to hear a motherfucker talk about how much money they got, how fucking great they are, how many bitches they fuck. Like, I want to know all that shit. Hit me with all of it. Inflate the shit out of my ego. So when I walk in there, I'm like, I own this motherfucker, man. This is all me right now. So like, that's what I use it for. I feel like it has that purpose. You know what I'm saying? But like, in terms of like great MCs and stuff like that, definitely few and far between these days.
Absolutely.
Definitely few and far between.
Yeah, you're never getting another Infamous. It's never happening.
No, I mean, I still listen to like Prodigy. For me, is about as good as it gets. Just very laid back, just a matter of fact delivery. Like, I had a conversation with Stickman about this from Fury of 5, where he was just like, you just knew he wasn't playing. Like, you could just hear it in his voice. He wasn't fucking playing. Like, everything he wasn't playing, and it's true. There's one Prodigy record that I really fuck with. Came out, I think, in 2008. It's called Product of the 80s. Yeah. Probably one of the most ignorant, hardest records I think I've ever heard, like, to date.
Yeah,
just
it's really
like,
good.
I put that on when I need to feel like I could take a tree out of the ground and beat an entire universe with it. You know what I mean? That's the record I will put on for that.
Yeah, I mean, HNIC is just as good if you ask me.
Oh,
I mean,
100%.
you know, them going the route of solo artist. Prodigy definitely took for me. I mean, Havoc has good stuff, but like you can't beat any of the stuff on Infamous and Hell on Earth. All that shit is classic, dude.
Them together is outrageous. Have you heard there's actually a pretty great record that came out recently with Styles P and Havoc.
Oh, yeah, the one that Havoc did all the beats for.
Yeah, it's actually pretty great. Like I listened to it a bunch of times. It was like a gym record for me for a little while.
Okay.
But yeah, like I'm a big Locks fan. I have been for a really long time, and I like Styles P's voice. Like it reminds me, obviously, it's got a lot of similarities to Prodigy too, like delivery wise and shit like that. So.
Oh yeah,
those
Gentleman
guys,
and a Gangster is one of the hardest records ever.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, man.
No doubt.
Shit, we can go on and on about all this shit, man.
Yeah, that's the problem is you open a can of worms. Like I said, the Fear Factory record, we could have talked about that for 3 hours. You know,
one of my favorite bands
I
ever.
could break down Edge Crusher for you right now. If you like, we could start to finish go with Edge Crusher.
Yeah, me and Jay just seen them in March, and we were blown away about the new singer and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like it was a great show, man.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that because I like obviously as a kid growing up with like the all the SOU shows that I went to with Fear Factory. Actually, I talk about this show all the time and I don't care. I'm gonna keep talking about it. There was a Fear Factory show I went to at Birch Hill it was like Fear Factory with like Hatebreed, Full Blown Chaos. I think like Shattered Realm or some ridiculous shit as the opener. And it was like nuts to butts. Like we couldn't breathe during Fear Factory. There was like, I literally thought I was going to pass out and die, but I refused to leave the room because I was like, there's no way I'm missing, and they came out with that. It was like, it was one of those memorable shows where, like if you were there, like, it was like,
right.
Yeah, we all experienced that together.
Right.
It was just a wild show, very violent, very wild, very heavy show.
Yeah, the Birch Hill was, Tim, it was shaped in a way so it funneled you towards the stage.
Okay.
Like there was a stage and then there was a big dance floor, but then there was around it, there was like a step up with a wall, and then there was another step up with a wall, and the back was the bar, and it funneled you. I mean, I saw Slipknot there when they finally did their first headlining tour. I think Biohazard opened that show. And it was like a fucking prison riot. Can you imagine, like, Jay, can you imagine the fucking sound guy at the Birch Hill turning and going, wait a minute, I got 9 dudes I got to level? Like nine dudes? Are you saying that right? And I don't even remember how they fit on stage. Like, I don't even remember how they fit on stage. But that place was nuts.
That's kind of funny, actually. Like, the sound guys back then are like, oh, I'm going to put a 57 on a keg. Okay, sounds good.
All right, so go ahead and check the keg.
Is the keg in tune?
Like, speaking into the talkback mic, like, okay, listen, I know that was Fred actually used to be the sound guy. Shout out to Durf. Yeah, we're gonna check the keg one more time, please.
Yeah,
a little harder on the keg.
Hit it with the bat, not the hammer. Yeah,
and then Mushroom Head comes through. It's the same bullshit. You're like,
I saw Mushroom Head at Birch Hill with Wasp.
Jeez,
absolutely insane show with fucking Wasp. Absolutely nuts.
That is wild.
Just fucking outrageous.
And that was back. That was back when Mushroom Head was still putting out bangers too.
That was back when Mushroom Head had just dropped that first record. They didn't have all the singer problems. They didn't have any of that stuff. It was the OG lineup, both singers. They were wild, man. They sounded great that night.
Great band, yeah.
They sounded great that night. That band was very, very cool.
All right, Jay, what was the last show you saw at the Birch Hill?
The last show at the Birch Hill that I saw, I played. I played the last night of Birch Hill.
Oh, shit.
I was the last band to ever play on the Stingray stage. And before me was shout out Pat Sheridan from Fit for an Autopsy. He was in a band called Nothing Left to Mourn.
Nothing Left to Mourn, yeah.
They played that night too. It was like it was a local showcase, but they let us all get on there. That was the last time I was ever at the Birch Hill. Was the last time I played there. And I worked at the Birch Hill for many nights, and I definitely cried leaving that motherfucker like a baby. 100%.
Was this for a year spent cold?
No, this was actually in a band. What band was that? it was a band called Comatose.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is a long time ago. We're going back. Shit, had to be like 03, maybe.
Oh
04.
shit. Okay. I didn't know it was closed that
Yeah.
long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I think 03. Oh, maybe 02. But yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right. It was
back to early 2000s.
yeah, 03 or 04. I think the last show I saw there was, I think it was Soulfly, Unearth, and Sworn Enemy.
Great show.
Yeah, and what an awesome venue. Whatever happened, Jay? Did they sold the lot? Now it's like a retirement village or something,
You know what
right?
it was? It was owned by a guy named Art Stock, and for a long time it was called Art Stock's Birchill or Art Stock's Playpen. It had that name for a while because before they lost their liquor license, I don't know if you remember, but they had the Stingrays area was the Playpen, which was the Mail Review.
I don't remember that.
So
I do not remember that.
if you could wrap your fucking mind around this, all right, you got Hatebreed and E Town on a Saturday night in the Birchill with fucking Sworn Enemy or whatever the fuck you had, the most ridiculous thing. And next door you had the ladies at the fucking Mail Review, and eventually the Mail Review would let out and they would open the doors and these fucking ladies would come in from the Mail Review all juiced up right into the Birchill. You know what I mean? And they were walking into a fucking lion's den of a bunch of
Sweaty dudes,
insane dudes that are just standing there in a gigantic sausage fest, and they're juiced up, walking in from the Mail Review. It was, you know, I mean, what could go wrong? I mean, everything, you know.
Walking in from the Mail Review and they're just hearing growling and fucking.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
They're
I
seeing
was a
spin kicks.
15-year-old kid, you know, and that was how I was getting introduced to this shit. And I was just like, what a fucking world, you know. This is life, I guess. This is how shows are, and this is what it's like. You know, you get to see your favorite band, and next door is a strip club. I guess I don't fucking know.
Hey, it works, man.
Yeah, it worked for it worked for a long time. That every show I went to there was packed. I remember I saw it was Meshuggah with Strapping the Lad opening, and it was so packed. I was actually out. I was outside looking in because it was so hot.
You could
That's
smell
amazing.
the cloves.
Yeah.
Those clove cigarettes that everybody used to smoke, man. They used to pull them out of their UFOs in the back by the pool.
Oh man,
those cloves, baby. Oh yeah.
Oh, I could. Oh yeah, they smell
Late
terrible.
90s, early
Smell
aughts.
that fucking shit. I can smell it right now. Every time I smell a clove, I go back to Birchill. I'm like, whoa, that's fucking crazy.
So you were also in Year Spent Gold as well?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Mitchell said that you were like OG Year Spent Cold. I was like, I got to remember to ask about that. So how long were you in the band?
I think my stint in the band was like maybe 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
I joined the band maybe 05, 04. I don't know. I lost track of like my years, but we wrote Retribution. A lot of that shit was like written in my mom's basement. Between my mom's basement and Steve, the drummer's mom's basement. We were back and forth from Monroe and Roselle Park at the time. But yeah, I did that, and then we had written a bunch of other stuff too. You know, and then I kind of went to Florida. I demoed out a bunch of stuff that wound up being on their record after they got signed to Eulogy. We demoed out a bunch of stuff with Len Carmichael. Shout out Len at his old studio in up in Patterson where he started out at, and you know, and then I went to Florida for a while and just kind of like did my own thing. Wanted to have a relationship with my dad. Never really knew the guy at all, and that turned out to be a disaster. But whatever, that's a story for a therapy session another day. But yeah, you know, so then I wound up having a kid. So I just kind of was like kicking it, doing like the dad thing, you know. And then when I got back to Jersey, I was just like, my kid is now 10, so I'm able to do it again, you know, like do it again to like the best of my ability, like actually play the shows and go out and do the thing, you know. Before COVID, I was doing some heavy touring and stuff like that in death metal bands. And then COVID happened, just kind of like, you know, obviously wiped that off the face of the planet for 3 years. So it was nice to come out of that and just be like, you know, I want to start something up with my friends that I've been making music with forever. And that's how Bayway kind of came into the picture. And it's been a fucking blast. I mean, we're only 8 shows in, or I think Saturday will be our 8th show. And it's like, what I've been able to do in this band in 8 shows, like far surpasses what I was able to do in bands for 20 years. It's like, it's absolutely asinine.
Do you think it's the experience, Jay? Like you had the experience, but now you got to ruminate on it a bit. You got to take a look back and say, okay, well, I tried that before and it didn't work. Or seasoning, you think?
You know, I think it has something to do with it. I think mainly what is different about this band opposed to other bands is just a clear-cut idea of what I like. This is really true to me. Like I can't speak for the other guys in the band, although I know that they would probably feel the same way. But like this is super true to like what I want to do musically. Like there's not a single aspect of Bayway that you're gonna hear that like I'm like, I'm not really into that. I'm into like start to finish every song, super, super into it. Like I'm getting to rap on songs. Like it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like there's no like we got to sound like this or we got to do that or we got to do this. Like we're just doing what we do. And I think that people are recognizing that because it's just it is what it is. It's fucking real. Like it's not, there's no gimmicks, no bullshit. You know what I mean? Like we didn't go into it like we got to sound like this band. Like it's just like this is the song we wrote and this is how it sounds and this is the way the vocals are. I'm not like trying to do anything. It's just how I sound, you know. And I feel like that's what people I think fuck with. I think they just fuck with it because it's just real, you know. It's just
yeah. I think you're right. I think, but also I think it also comes through in the music that you're playing the music that you want to listen to. You know, when bands start making music for the fans and not for themselves, I think that's where as fans we can hear it. We're like, oh, okay, they're trying to put a pool.
Oh,
they're trying
absolutely.
to put a pool in. And oh, now I get where they're going. Yeah.
You mean like every metalcore band nowadays that sounds exactly the same?
I just don't want to do that. You know, one of the things, and to speak on that point, like one of the things that I think bugs me about today's music is that, you know, we're sort of in like this weird like AI transition, right? Where like a lot of people are getting into AI, they're like doing the chat GPT thing, whatever, you know, and people are doing that kind of thing. And like whatever, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Like I'm not gonna hate on anything. Like I'm not even gonna act like that. Like do you? But for me, music has become so cookie cutter and deprived of life in comparison to the music that I know. You know, like spoke about Fear Factory and Chimera. Like when they came out and they were doing this sort of like machine sounding stuff, and Meshuggah was doing it too, right? Like this machine sounding stuff. Everything was very tight, precise. You know what I mean? And sounded very. They were going for a machinery sound. That was what they wanted. Nowadays, everything sounds like it was put into a computer. You know what I mean? And just kind of like cut up and made to perfection. And here you go. It's just regurgitated. This is heavy music. This is what heavy music is supposed to sound like. The life of heavy music, the lifeblood of hardcore is it's rooted in punk rock. And punk rock is not about how clean you can play and how talented you are. It's about feeling. It's about sarcasm. It's about not taking yourself so serious and just being like, fuck the world as a collective unit. And that's what I fuck with. That's what I identify with, like with music. So that's what I wanted to create. And like Bayway, we don't record to it. Like a lot of bands record to a click. A lot of bands polish their stuff in like, you know, I record one vocal. Sometimes it's in one take. I don't like to write lyrics. I like to just have the record, like the song plays. And what I'm feeling is what I sing about when I'm hearing the song. Fuck it, that's what it is, you know. And I feel like there's a certain raw realness to that I think people identify with, and that's all I wanted to try to put forward, and that's what I wanted to hear. So you're right about that. Like that's the music I wanted. That's what I thought wasn't there anymore. And if I have the opportunity to create something that I want to hear, then it's Bayway.
Right. And if others hear it and they like it too, well then we're
that's
all
fucking awesome.
All in the same boat.
Right. I never expected for people to fuck with Bayway the way that they do. The fact that they do is literally shocking to me every single time. Like when we released our Newport tape and it like sold out in 11 hours, I was just like, in what fucking world? Like, you know what I mean? Why does anyone give a fuck about anything I'm doing? You know, when people come up to me and they're like, man, that Year Spent Cold record meant a lot to me. I'm like, I'm blown away. Like, I almost think they're making fun of me because I can't, like, my imposter syndrome is like,
Yep.
that's not even true. It doesn't matter what you do. You're just an idiot. You know? Like,
Right.
so I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm blown away by anybody fucking with what I do. And like, I can't say thank you enough to anybody that hears it and fucks with it. But like, just know I'm never going to write a song with the intention of trying to get somebody to fuck with it. I'm done with that. Those days are done. It never works for me. The only time it works is when I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. It's funny, like we were talking about that, because like the first thing I wrote in my notes when I knew we were talking, like the reason I love the Bayway stuff is because obviously how ignorant it is, but like you need that sound to come back, because I feel like hardcore now, it's too pussy for me. It's too clout driven. There's no passion in it either at all. And that's what's missing. Like if you go back and listen to bands like Burnside, a Jersey band, you know, For the Love of, all that kind of shit. That shit was there. That shit was violent. It was, you know, it had a cause back then. Now it's just like, oh God, this shit is terrible, man. So then
yeah.
When I hear the Bayway and I hear that snare and I hear how ignorant it is and all that shit, I'm like, this is what we need, especially when it's coming out of Jersey or Philly. Like, we need this to come back, because kids these days need to hear that kind of shit again, or they need to hear it for the first time and realize where all their favorite bands get that shit from. Yeah, whether they're doing it good or not, it needs to come back, man.
You're right about that. And like my thing is like, I just really wanted to pay homage to the guys that really brought me here. You know, like I have this, like, I say it all the time. Like, I didn't have a dad, like, growing up, never had one. You know, like, I grew up in the hardcore scene. Like, I told Stickman, I'm like, you might as well have been my fucking dad, because like I listened to your shit and like you put me on to like How to Be, you know, like NJ Bloodline, like bands like Hatebreed. That's how I learned about integrity. That's how I learned about like how to be, what kind of person to be and what kind of person not to be. And you know, like you identify with all this stuff, right? And like coming up, that E-Town snare is like nothing else. Yeah. I've been obsessed with it since I heard Time to Shine the first time. Like there's nothing else. And like, you got to pay homage to that shit. Like, shout out to Ant, love him. You know what I mean? I got him on our upcoming full length. I can't talk about that yet, but all I'm saying is dude goes crazy hard still. That's all I can say.
Yo, did you see the video, Jay, of that show where they cut his mic and the band played just through their amps? And
absolutely insane.
That tells you not only how good the music is that they write, but how awesome they are as a band, that he was having a blast singing along with the entire audience. I was like, yo, this is somebody who's legit. Like, that's legit.
It's an amazing sight, I think, when you see, like, that's the best way for you to know and see how much charisma that man possesses without, and you know, when you talk to him, so humble. I don't even think he gets it. I don't even, like, he's not trying to do it. And that's the coolest part about it to me, is that like, he just like, some people just have it, you know, like he has such charisma. He can go up there with no fucking microphone and you're still going to fuck with it. Like, you know, like, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
I saw that video and I was just like, you know, how good does that have to feel too, as the band that's playing? Like, I don't even need a fucking microphone. I can go up there and rock and people are just going to vibe with me no matter what.
You know? I had a whole room of people singing my songs back to me.
100%.
Basically, we they did a 30-minute karaoke, and that is awesome. That is awesome.
Shit. I have to see this.
Yeah, I'll find it, Tim, and send it to you. It's great.
It's very cool. Very, very cool.
All right, Jay, you open the door.
I remember not to cut you off, Jay, but I want to talk about E-Town for a couple more minutes. I remember when The Second Coming came out, dude. That record, man, that means so fucking much to me, that record, for a lot of reasons. I don't want to really get into it. It'll take forever. But, dude, every time I hear that record, man, it brings me back to, like, when music was just fucking great. And that's what we're missing, man. And that's, you know, like I was saying again, like, we're missing it, and you guys are bringing shit like that back, because, like, it's just bands like that. When I hear it, I'm like, oh my God, dude, I remember so many fucking great things when this record came out. And
The Second Coming to me is such a great record because You mentioned For the Love of earlier, right?
Yep.
There was bands like God Forbid that were
Yep.
just insane in terms of what they were doing and what they were innovating at the time that other bands just were not even trying to do.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And you had other bands like, you know, even going deeper, like Dillinger, bands like that, you know?
Oh yeah.
And then you had the hardcore bands, right? And these guys were fucking one-upping each other. And that's what the Second Coming is to me. It's like, it's almost like, you know, oh, you think you can do that? Well, how about I fucking, like, Candiria was out there doing the wildest shit, you know?
They
Like,
were.
just taking everything. Like, you can't put jazz fusion over a breakdown. Fuck you, I can't. You know what I mean? Fuck you, I can't, motherfucker. I'm gonna put chimes over this breakdown, and you're gonna dance to it.
Yep.
Right?
It's so true.
And like, so then you have E-Town, like, well, fuck, we're gonna do the same fucking thing. Like, we're gonna put a keyboard in. We're also gonna play metal. We're also gonna play hardcore. We're still gonna be E-Town at our root, but like the time signatures were weird. Like everything was different. They were really trying to like, it was like so much one-upmanship going on. And all of these bands were bringing out the best in each other.
Yeah,
You know?
you're right. You're right.
And there wasn't a ton of them that sounded the same.
No, no, I like how you brought up the time signatures, because one of the things that I always remember about the Second Coming is a lot of bands, they do 12 songs and you kind of get into the rhythm where, okay, so these 3 sound alike, these 2 sound alike, and these 4 sound alike. Every single song on that album, the intro, the structure, the how it ends, they're all different. Which that's how you know a good album, because you get to the end and you go, shit, play, like, just all right,
Yeah.
start it again,
As
start it again.
soon as you get to Phoenix, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm ready to hear Soldier again for sure.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm like, as soon as Phoenix is over, you know what I mean? I'm ready for that brown. You can hit me with that right again, and I will start that record over and listen to it once more. You know what I mean? No problem with it. And it's just great, because it was just like, it was that time period, man, where people were really, they were really being experimental. They were one-upping each other, and they were trying to get the best thing that they could. Not as like a fuck you, like we're the best. It was more of like it was just like, oh, you can do that? Watch what I do. You know what I mean? And then the next guy would come back and be like, now watch what I can do. And it was all in the spirit of, you know, making the best record that you could and making the coolest music you could. And that was the vibe of the time. Like, a lot of people talk shit on the Renaissance. The
Oh, I love that album.
Great record.
I think, like, as far as like just peak musicianship, like if you listen to that record, Jesus fucking Christ, like, man, come on, like, you keep, it's so ridiculous, like, it's so outrageously ridiculous. And like, yeah, like, a lot of it, I get, like, hardcore guys can be like, oh, I don't fuck with this part or that part, but like, as a new metal guy, like, coming from that background, I was like, I don't know, fuck with every specific part of this is good for me, and no issues here, you know. No issues from me. Like, Eric's bass playing on that record is otherworldly. It's insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, the musicianship is 100% there on everything they do. Like, you know, even live, like that This Is Hardcore set they played a while ago. God damn, dude, that night was so fucking good, because they ended the Sunday. I forget what year it was, but that fucking set was so fucking good, man. Just like,
they're so consistent live, man. They really are. They always have been, to like the entire. When I saw them as a kid, they were just as fucking, like, just as good. Like,
that's what I was just gonna say. Yep.
It's never fallen off. And I've seen them in Philly. I've seen them in Jersey. Saw them in New York. Every time, man. They always brought it's just a very specific energy. They're just a very unique band. Very unique band. And we're blessed to have them in Jersey. And like, you know, I just feel like there was a lot of that. Like, other bands too, NJ Bloodline doesn't get enough credit for what they were doing, you know? And like, they started out as like a very traditional hardcore punk band with a hip hop element. And they really like started to infuse like very crazy time signatures and insane drumming. And, you know, I remember talking with Frank NJ Bloodline. He's like, I never want to repeat a part twice in a song, you know, like, that's cool to me. Like, just to be like, just to set out to say, like, I don't want to repeat shit. Like, I want to do a song. I want it to be a cohesive song, but no repetitive parts at all. Nothing, never going back to anything. That's cool as shit. Like, just to have like that sort of mentality to me is cool as fuck. You know?
Yeah. That
Like,
Be
to
Afraid
think about
one
it.
is fucking incredible.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's insane. It's a masterpiece. And as far as Union County hardcore is concerned, you know, it's I love it. It's unfuckwithable for me.
And Reek just passed, didn't he?
He didn't just pass, but you know, a couple years back for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I had him on. We did an interview with him when I was doing Ill Street News, and he was super high.
He was
one of the
so
funniest
funny.
Interviews ever.
As a fan, I was laughing that entire interview. He was so funny.
He's great, man.
He was like, it's crazy because to me he was like a big brother for a long time. I got into hardcore, and I started going to this studios called Dome Studios. If you ever watched a New Jersey hardcore documentary, most of it is filmed at Dome Studios. Like the NJ Bloodline segments, the Agents of Man stuff, the E-Town stuff it's all filmed there. Even the 1-for-1 stuff's all filmed there. So if you ever take a look at the NJ Hardcore documentary, it's at Dome Studios. So I was lucky enough to start jamming in that studio as a kid, you know, and I had my silly death metal, like new metal, death metal crossover band that I was doing at the time, you know, and I would come in and these guys were in there, like, you know, E-Town would be in C and NJ Bloodline would be in B and Agents of Man would be in A. And these guys were all really fucking cool to me, you know, but Reek was like, look, you got to come to a show. You know, we're doing a show at this VFW hall. You got to come. Don't tell anybody, but E-Town's the secret headliner. I got a band called Shattered Realm that's playing, you know, and like, I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. So he pulls me in and he's just like, you know, sit here, kid, check it out. I'm like in the NJ Bloodline practice space in room B, sitting on this fucking god-awful couch while these dudes are just getting, you know, fucking hammered and enjoying themselves. Joey from NJ Bloodline is like one of the funniest people too. Like if you could imagine him and Reek together, like just one-upping each other, the sarcasm and the fucking just the level of, you know, politicking that went on between those two was insane. So those guys were hilarious. And he just pulled me in. He was like, hey, listen, you know, you got to go to the show. I went to the show. I think maybe the first band, I got thrown into a garbage can. I was like so scared. They just put me in a garbage can. I'm like, fuck, you know, like, what do I do? Do I leave or do I stick it out? You know, by the end of the night, I had so many friends. Suck it out. I wasn't a bitch. They stuffed me in a garbage can. I'm like, fuck it. I don't care. I'm still doing this. I'm going to watch NJ Bloodline. NJ Bloodline turned the lights off, threw out plastic swords. And everybody's moshing with plastic swords. I mean, if you could imagine the level of violence in a VFW hall with no fucking lights on and every maniac that New Jersey had to offer has a sword now, you know, for the love of played. It was the first time I ever got to experience a guy smashing an anvil.
Hell yeah.
With a fucking hammer in front of me, like fucking thing is sparking, you know what I mean? And this is my first real show, my first hardcore show. Like I always bring it up because it was fucking life-changing. After that moment, I was like, I never want to do anything else.
Yep.
I never want to do anything else. I remember Ant walked in, he had the hottest camo jacket with this fucking fur hood. I was like, this motherfucker looks like a rock star. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, shit, man. Like, if I'm ever going to do shit, I got to do it like this. This is crazy. And that was my introduction to New Jersey hardcore. So after that, you know, that's it. Like when you think about, oh, I'm going to do a hardcore band in New Jersey, like the level of ignorance, like I said, like Second Coming was them topping this one and topping that one and topping this one. And that's where we're at, you know, like if you're not paying homage to that and trying to top it in some way, shape or form, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah. It's Tim and I have talked about one of the bands I love seeing them live is the Black Dahlia Murder, specifically because not only do I like their music, they purposefully take out young bands that have a better than even chance of blowing them off the stage, especially when Trevor was around. And I respect that. So I respect you taking somebody out and saying, yo, you might be better than me. So give me your best because I'm going to give mine. So I like that friendly competition of who can steal the room. Too. Yeah,
that's exactly it, man. That's the way it's supposed to fucking be, you know. And there used to be a certain level of unity that came with that, and there used to be a certain like an understanding, like that's what we're all here to do. we're all here to blow each other off the fucking stage and put on the best show as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I feel like, I gotta be honest, I do feel like there's a lot of that mentality that's coming back. Like as I go to these fests and as I get to know, like there's a lot of younger crop of hardcore kids that are coming through. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Like I'm loving the people I'm meeting. I'm loving what I'm seeing. It really, like, the bands that they fuck with and the bands that they like cite as the people that they fuck with. It's like, it's just cool to see. It's cool to see. And like, I hope it continues that way, because I feel like there's hope in that. I want there to be hope. I want more good music, man. Like I want to be fucking hyped on the next band that comes by. You know what I mean? Like I want to be like fucking like how I used to be when I was a kid. Like I want to be like searching till I find that band that just blows me out of the fucking water. And I'm like, whoa, holy shit, I'm going to listen to nothing but this for the next month. I know it, you know, like until I know it front to back and I'm tired of it, I'm not putting it down.
Yeah.
You know, like I miss those moments.
Definitely. Before we run out of time, because I just noticed it's an hour already, I want to, you have a couple more minutes?
Sure.
Couple more things and we'll get out of here. To tell me about the Baptized in Pain stuff. Like you did all of that, everything, right?
Yeah.
So is that like live drums and everything you were doing, or did you like a superior drummer or something on that?
No, I played drums on the record too.
Okay, cool.
So what I did was I basically had no one to really make music with during the pandemic. Shit had fallen off, you know, things were going, and I was just kind of like toying around with this like sort of new metal, death metal, hardcore crossover thing. And I just kind of wanted to speak to the Bayway thing too. Like I just wanted no limits. I didn't want to be in a project where it was like, well, we're a death metal band. Well, it's like, oh, well, okay, that's boring to me. So I don't want to do that. So I wanted to do something where I could do a little bit of everything I fucked with, you know? And so I started writing songs, and I'm like, what am I going to call it? You know, I had been done doing this band that I had been doing for a couple years prior. And I was just like, you know, I just want to come out with something that's just me. And so I started recording the Baptized in Pain stuff. So I put 5 or 6 songs down to like tempo maps with guitar, conceptualize some ideas for the drums. And, you know, one of the cool parts about the Baptized in Pain record is most of those drums were one take. Like I didn't try to do anything. Like I didn't want to overthink anything. I didn't want to listen to it and be like, I got to come back and change that. It doesn't, because that's when you start getting into it sounds too much like that, or it sounds too much like this. Like whatever it hit me in the moment as I just did, you know, like if this part to me sounds like it needs to have like an up-tempo thrash part, then I'm going to play an up-tempo thrash part. And if I can sneak, you know, some extra double bass and some blast beats into it, then I will, if that's what I'm feeling in the moment. And that's just what it was, you know, it was just like a way to kind of just get it out of me. I just wanted to have an opportunity to just write some songs that were just like, you know, boundaryless, I guess, like fucking, it doesn't have to be this, doesn't have to be that. It can just be whatever, you know, no fucking rules, no, like needs to sound like Dying Fetus meets Hatebreed. You know what I mean? None of that kind of stuff. Like, just like, you know, just whatever it is, it is. However it comes out, it comes out. And I'm just going to have this open forum of expression and just like enjoy myself. You know?
Man, dude, that opening track, when I put that on, I was like, holy fuck, what is this? Like, because it just like I love when people just, oh, here's the opening song, I'm just beating your ass right away. And I fucking love that. Jay, have you heard that yet?
I think you sent it to me, and I definitely just looked. I had it tagged in Bandcamp, but I don't remember. But
dude, yeah, that opener, oh my god, I love that shit, dude. That is a great fucking record, man. I'm really hoping you do more of that stuff.
Yeah, you know what? It's weird because it's like, it's one of those records where like I put it out and I just kind of like had it out, and no one really, I don't even know if people really know about it. When you mentioned it to me in the message, I was like, how the fuck does this guy know about Baptized in Pain? Like, where do you find this shit, sir? You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I listen to a lot of fucking music, man.
Oh, I can't even keep up. It's really kind of impressive. Jay, I know we're running out of time, but you opened the door, so I gotta ask, man, a new full length?
Yeah, new full length. this we could probably start talking about it if this is going to come out in a month.
Yeah, we're about a month away. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we just got a test press back. I haven't seen it yet, but we're doing things right now with it's with RTF. Shout out Pat RTF. Shout out Lumpy from Days. We the full length is done. It's been done for a minute, and they have it, and they are sending it out to vinyl and doing.
That's awesome, dude.
So it's gonna be my first time on wax, so I'm pretty fucking excited about it. If I'm completely honest, I'm a big vinyl collector. Like I'm a vinyl guy, so to have my shit on vinyl is like is super sick.
It memorializes it, right? Because it memorializes it.
Right.
A CD is a CD, but wax.
I'm
right?
now forever. I can't wait to sit it next to my copy of One for One and my copy of Second Coming by E-Town. It's gonna sit next to those two records, hold a special place in my heart. But the cover art is like stupidly ridiculous. Like when you guys see it, you're gonna be like, Jesus Christ, he undersold it. Like it's as stupid as it can be. The back of it is just like really outrageously, really outrageously hip hop influence. It's very cool. It definitely sums up what the band is about in a really great way. And there's some really great stuff on the full length that I'm super excited about getting out. A lot of these songs, like we do things a little bit differently as a band. We try to write a huge collection of songs all at once and get them all so that we can kind of like capture a moment in time. So like all of this stuff is like, if you can picture like the excitement of the demo, like we all were just as excited about the full length as we were about the demo because all the songs were sort of written at the same time. So it's that same mentality that you got already in the first two EPs. You're gonna get a lot of that on the full length. So it's just
awesome. It's
really, really cool. And I'm super pumped about it. And I literally cannot wait to start putting these fucking songs out. It's killing me. Not playing them live is killing me.
That's awesome. And to your point about like building a big bunch of songs that you can whittle down, I always noticed I loved bands that did that because they'd put out an album, right? And then the soundtrack would come out and it's another song you've never heard. And then something else, a comp would come out and it's another song you never heard. And then they would do an EP, and it's like, these guys are just trickling out music, which nowadays I think you kind of have to do it to stay relevant. Like you watch bands now, like, I mean, you think about the old days, nobody was releasing singles like bands do now, right? I mean, Tim and I were just talking about the other day, 200 Stab Wounds. They did one song, then they did a second song, they put it on a 7-inch. Like you got to stay relevant. So it's awesome. And to be able to trickle that stuff out is really cool. It's
a situation where I feel like the attention span of most people has just changed.
Yeah. Yep.
The internet has definitely made things a lot more fast paced. So it's just like, and you can consume so much shit, like before when E-Town put out Second Coming, like that came out and then you listen to that,
Yeah.
And then maybe another band dropped the record like in that time period, and so you pick that up, but like there wasn't like 45 releases every Friday.
Right. Right.
Like, you could find 22 new bands every Friday.
Yeah, it's impossible to keep up. It's impossible.
Right. It is. It really is. That's why I said to him, I can't believe he knows fucking Baptized in Pain.
Yeah, Tim listens to an inhuman amount of music. Dude, I haven't even caught up and listened to the new Cattle to Cap yet. I'm waiting for Tim to punch me through the screen.
Slap you through this fucking Zoom meeting. It's just so good.
I can't find the time because I know I'm gonna like it. I want to carve out time. Like the fucking Incendiary album, I bought it. I didn't listen to it. I was visiting my dad in fucking Florida. I finally got a chance to put it on the plane with a pair of headphones, sitting next to this dude. Oh my god, I'm flying fucking Spirit Airlines. I'm too big to be flying Spirit Airlines. Note to self. And I'm sitting next to a dude who's this kid is like, he's got to be 6'3", and he's got these wide shoulders. And I'm sitting there. And he's looking at me like, yo, this guy's having a moment here. So fantastic. And I hope to have the same reaction. Oh no, with Bayway, I would actually hit him with the fucking tray table, just yank it off.
Yeah, with Bayway, you're getting ejected off the plane. You know what I mean? Somebody's hitting the fucking emergency exit door, and you may have to go for a
Picking
ride.
up, hitting somebody else with it. Awesome. Awesome. Jay, so we'll let you go, man. Thanks so much for coming on. Tim, do you have anything else before I let him out?
No, man. Yeah, seriously, thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah.
Great, real fun conversation, man.
Yeah,
Honestly,
absolutely.
I appreciate it so much. It was great talking new metal. I don't get to do it a lot. So I'm pumped on that. And, you know, just thank you guys for fucking with the band. Honestly, like, it means the world to me. And, you know, I have zero expectations of anybody loving anything that I do. So if anybody ever says anything nice about it, it's just like, it's overwhelming for me. I'm just like, just thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for understanding and picking up what I'm putting down. And
well deserved, man.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jay. So if somebody wants to find you, find the band, where do they go?
I think the best way is probably Instagram.
Okay.
At Bayway NJ or at Hard Times Hard Luck if you're looking to find me specifically. I don't know why on earth you'd be trying to do that, but if you want to, that's me. But yeah, Instagram. I mean, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, but we don't really update it as much as we probably, you know, are supposed to, or whatever you're supposed to do as a social media outfit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram's got the most up-to-date shit. Shout out to my guitar player Chris. He runs the Instagram, does a fucking great job, and keeps everybody up to date on all things Bayway. So
awesome.
Appreciate him for that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We will
shout
put a
out to
link.
fucking Lumpy for realizing what a great band you guys are.
No, fucking shout out to Lumpy, but I got to be honest with you. Shout out to Pat Garrity, RTF.
That's right. I forgot about that. My
He
bad.
liaised that deal between Lumpy and like really, like he gave me. I can't thank him enough because he's always been my friend, and he's given me this new friend in Lumpy that I text back and forth with, and literally Lumpy, like, I don't know if you've ever got the opportunity to talk to him. He's one of the most ridiculous people to ever have a conversation with. And some of the shit that he says and does is just so crazy and hilarious. So I've been really blessed with a new friend, which I feel like I don't get enough of. So I'm super, super pumped to be working with Lumpy. He's done a lot of great things with a lot of great bands and continues to do so. So we're blessed to be in that position. And, you know, shout out to Pat, shout out to Lumpy. Those guys have really taken care of this band, and we wouldn't be where we're at without either one of those cats. So, you know, thank you to both of them.
Yeah, we're gonna hit up Lumpy soon because I want to get him back on and talk to about this day stuff because he's just putting out bangers, man. So much.
I don't know where
shit.
he finds some of that Japan band. What, View from the Soyuz hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, yo, how did he even? Japan is another place I'm fascinated by. They keep putting out fucking great music. You know,
he's got his finger on the pulse. You know what I'm saying?
He definitely does.
You know what the thing is that's cool about him is he knows what he likes.
Yep.
He knows what he likes, you know, and that's it. You know, and you got to respect that about a guy. Like, he knows when it hits him, you know, like we put out that demo, he checked it out and like immediately posted about it and was just like, fuck with this song, hard as fuck. And it was like, I was like, what the fuck? Why is Days fucking with us? Like, this is crazy, you know? And he's like, once you talk to him, it's just, what a great guy, you know, what a great guy. Fucking hilarious personality, Long Island guy. So I feel like Long Island and Jersey have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
So it's not hard for us to get along. Let's just say that.
Put it like that. Yep. Perfectly. All right. So we want to thank Jay for coming on. Thanks to all of you for watching, for listening, tuning in. Find us every Wednesday with new episodes. You know where to find us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that sort of stuff. So until next time, this is New Breed Podcast saying peace.
Later.
Fellas, thank you.